Hey guys, so my name is Greg and I'm a CEO and co-founder of Growbots. At Growbots we have this dream about creating a magic button that basically takes your product in front of all your potential customers automatically. And we started in 2014, we've graduated from 500 startups in San Francisco, and now our company is more than 70 people, split into offices, one in Warsaw, Poland, and second one in San Francisco. So what I will talk today about is how to be proactive about sales, how to fuel your growth, and how to make this process scalable. And just to prove myself, I wanted to show you our own results. So in the course of this year, we've been growing over 27% month over month, and we've basically done over 10x in our revenue growth since January this year. And we also have a pretty solid and scalable sales funnel. So as you can see, we generate a few hundred leads every month, and we close 20% of all of the opportunities that are coming in from outbound channel at Growbots. Our company is an outbound-driven organization. We generate 90% of our leads ourselves, being proactive and reaching out to customers. 10% is organic, and we don't do any marketing. Even if I had a marketing agency before, I just know that marketing is not that much working. All right, so how to approach your growth? It all basically sums up to a very simple equation. So you need to reach some amount of people to get some amount of interested people in order to close some amount of deals. And you need to basically do the calculation. Sales is always the numbers game, and you can make it very predictable. If you just spend some time in Excel, you can project your growth. You can exactly know how many people you need to reach out to every month, how many leads you need in order to close the deals that are bringing you enough revenue to fuel your growth. So I want to go very quickly through 3 hypothetical situations where we have a $500 a month product and we want to get to 5,000 MRR of a new business every month. And you can do it with content marketing, for example. Content marketing is great because it's free, but it's pretty hard to scale, because in order to get enough leads to get 10 deals and get 5,000 in new monthly recurring revenue, you basically need to get about 10,000 people reading your blog. And it doesn't sound that bad, but you need to scale it. So in order to get 10 times more, you need 100,000 people reading your blog, which is kind of impossible. And it takes a lot of time because it won't happen overnight. So you need to spend a lot of time, and then results might come, might not come. It's marketing, you never know. So it's a very long strategy. So we need something faster. So what's the fastest way? You just pay Google. You pay Google because they give you leads straight away. You just need to spend some money. You are getting leads, and you can start closing the deals. The problem is that it costs a lot. So in order to generate 50 leads a month, you probably need to spend 15,000 a month. And we are currently running a lot of experiments with AdWords at Growbots. And for example, we've discovered that we've spent $10,000 on Google AdWords over monthly, over a few last months, and it cannibalized our organic traffic. So basically, we now pay Google for the leads that we were getting anyways. So it's expensive and might not be that smart. So what else is there? It's outbound sales. So outbound sales is great because it's also free, like content marketing, but it's producing you results straight away, exactly as a PPC channel. So the beauty of outbound is that it's fully predictable. Once you set up your strategy, you can be exactly sure that if you contact 1,000 people, you should generate something like 50 leads, and you can close 10 deals. If you want to scale it, you just contact more people, generate more leads, and close more deals. And this is exactly how we grow the business at Growbots. And I want to show you step by step how to get started and how to scale it. So maybe it's time for a question: who is currently doing outbound sales here? All right, so it's quite good. It's quite good. All right. So you probably don't need that table to get convinced that the strategy is effective. But it's pretty much a summary of what I said, that content strategy is a great strategy as it's free, like great strategy for startup because we all not have that much money. But it takes time, it's hard to scale, and it's pretty unpredictable. So you need something which is predictable and gives you quick results, but then like you can choose only between PPC and outbound, and from those two, definitely outbound is the cheapest thing. And the only like question about outbound you might have is it spam? Isn't like talking to people who don't want to talk to you and making them like aggressive about your brand, etc. So from what we are seeing, the conversion rates that you are getting from all of your outbound campaigns are way, way better than any other type of communication. So for example, the average click-through rate for Google AdWords is like 0.5%. And when we send our outbound email campaigns, we can generate like 25% of positive responses from people, which means that maybe some people don't need our product, but in general, a huge fraction of them is actually interested in getting in touch with you. And the key is just to get the targeting right. So you just need to focus on people who really need your solution. And then you shouldn't worry about like making people angry. All right, so how to scale outbound? As I said, it's a pretty much numbers game. So we've built this pretty simple tool together with our friends from Omni Calculator, which can help you to plan your 1-year strategy for the sales process. As you can see, we've put here a very conservative numbers for conversion rates, both from like email sent to a lead generated, and also from a demo held to a deal close. But this way you won't get over optimistic, and you could like really generate those results. And as you can see, in this case that I've mentioned, that you have a $500 a month product, and you sell it in a way that you charge people up front for it, you can pretty much get to like $84,000 in monthly revenue from contacting like from 1,000 to 2,000 people each month, which it's not that much work actually. So how to do it? It all starts with defining the customer profile. So you really focus on people who need your solution. So in this hypothetical example, we want to target people from the USA who are working for software companies. The size of the company is like 11 to 100 people. They use HubSpot because your software is integrated with HubSpot, and you want to talk to like a person who is responsible for marketing at those organizations. And this is pretty much the profile you always need to build. And when you build this profile, you have to have in mind that you can also add things such as like do they have nice logos on the website? Is this decision maker a young guy or an old guy? But there is no way to automate this kind of tracking, and you would have to go to every website yourself, check everything yourself, which takes an awful amount of time. So you need to focus on the criteria you can track somewhere online where you can find those information quickly. And here is how you can approach it. So basically, the first 3 things can be easily found on LinkedIn. You just, do a quick search, and you can get a list of software companies from the US who are the right size and for you. And then when you have the list of those companies, you can quickly go through their website using software such as, for example, Ghostery or BuildWith to make sure that they're using HubSpot. And then once you have the companies that are using the right technology, the right size, from the right location, you just need to find the right decision maker within this organization find their email with tools like Tooth or Full Contact, and you have the list ready. Obviously, there are faster ways of doing this, and my co-founder Luke will show you a few tricks about scraping the web for free, so you can be much faster about this process. Because, for example, it's much easier to start with a list of companies that use HubSpot and then narrow them down into companies from the US that are from 11 to 200 employees, because this way around it's much faster. But you need to, for example, scrape build with, and Luke will show you how to do it. All right, so this is how you build your list, and now you need to plan your campaign. So as I said, in order to generate enough results, you basically have to start from sending like 50 emails a day, which is not that huge amount, even if you build a list manually, and it will sum up to 1,000 emails a month, and you should close about 10 deals out of it. And how to build a good email campaign. So it's always tricky, and a lot of people think that email is the most important thing in the whole process, but it's actually not. It just have to be like short, sexy, to the point, and you cannot be overselling. So you just need to tell someone, hey, I'm doing this, I might help you to do this, and that's it. And you should plan the whole campaign. So sending one email is not enough. When you read books about sales, they will tell you that you need to send at least 7-8 follow-ups to people in order to get a final yes or no response. And actually, until you get no from anyone who might be a decision maker within the company, you shouldn't stop sending your campaigns. On the other hand, the campaign cannot be like awfully long. So you should kind of try to narrow it down to like 2-3 weeks and 3 or 4 emails. And if somebody is not responding to you, you should stop bothering them for some time, give them a break, and then we call it recycle the contact after a few months, and try again with a different pitch. And how to write a compelling email address. So you can simply send me an email, and I'll send you one of a few templates that we see very effective. But the whole logic is around first of all, making introduction, but not of yourself, because nobody cares who you are, which company are you representing. So never start from, hey, I'm Greg from Growbots, blah, blah, blah. You should give them some context. Why are you reaching out to them? So it's best to start with anything that you can have in common, and I'll show you a few examples later on how to get this conversation opened in the right way. And then you start. So first of all, you give the context for a conversation. So hey, I'm working with your friend's company. Then you say why you're working with them and what you are helping them to do. Then you add some social proof. So you need to prove yourself and say, like, we have customers like you, we've been in this business for 10 years, etc. And then you need to finish it with a CTA, which usually should be a call, so you can convince the customer. It's very important to remember that with outbound sales process, the people don't know who you are. So it's kind of hard to send them a link and say, hey, try my product. No, you kind of have to get them on the phone. So your goal with this email campaign is to get them excited, to show them some new opportunity they are unaware of, because unlike with inbound channel, they are not actively searching for a solution. So your job is to reach out to people, show them a new opportunity, and get them excited so you can get them on the phone. All right, so this is the basics, and this should be enough to get to first 10 or 100 customers. But how to scale it? So when you start scaling it, it's important to start automating the process, because sending a few thousand emails every month when you have to create the list manually, send the emails manually, is really painful. So obviously you have a lot of solutions. My intention is not to pitch our solution, which is obviously able to help you. but you can also buy databases of contacts that are ready to use. There are many platforms that allows you to send your emails in an automatic way. So you can basically check a lot of different solutions and choose what is working for you. And when you start doing higher volumes, you need to start automating every part of it. So the big part of automation is making emails personalized at scale. So as you can see, this is a kind of like a baseline campaign, which generated us almost 17% positive response rate. And for this like positive response rate, we mean that those people actually scheduled a demo with our sales team. And it's a very simple email. So you open it with saying, hey guys, we are also in SaaS, and this gives this like a common thing about the conversation. And in this particular email, we experimented with something called breakup email, but in the first message. So straight away, you give people two choices. You either want to talk to me or no, and that's it. And it's a very good incentive about like, so they can decide if they are interested or not. So as you can see, this is a kind of a baseline campaign, which is fully automatic. There is no personalization, like no manual personalization at all in this email. You just generate a list of SaaS companies, send them this email, and you get a lot of responses. So we thought, all right, so how about we add some really personal note to the email? And this is an example like this. So we've spent a lot of time on making this introduction very personal. So, hey, we really like what you are performing at your company, and we were saying some nice about like either the company or the job achievement, etc. So it means that if you want to send 100 emails like those, you need to visit like 100 profiles, think about it, like what you should write this note. So it takes a lot of time, and as you can see, response rate almost the same. So it's definitely not worth time to do a lot of personalization if you have ideas on how to do it automatically. And here is another example of totally automatic email campaign. So we are selling software for sales automation. So we wanted to refer something that they are already using at the company, which is similar. And we thought, there are marketing automation tools that most of the company are using. So we've sent a few campaigns to to companies who are using different types of marketing automation software, such as, for example, Pardot or Marketo. So exactly the same. You can generate a list of companies using Pardot automatically, but you just, adjust the copy to those companies and mention something that is very special in this case. And as you can see, this is like much higher performing campaign than the one that we were personalizing ourselves. And there are many, many ideas about like how to do this personalization automatically at scale, such as, for example, you might send emails to people from different cities saying, hey, I'll be in your city in a month. We should grab a coffee. And things like this. So the email is very personalized based on the type of the company they are working at, their role, location, this kind of stuff. But you've spent no time on personalizing it manually. What is also very important is to look at the results that you are generating and try to learn from those. So, for example, as you can see, the data shows that the subject line should be as short as possible. And the reason for it is that, for example, in Gmail, you can not only see the subject line, but also the rest of the message. And if you personalized the first line of the message, people can see it straight away, and they can be intrigued. So they will open the message. And the longer this title is, the less they see of your message. And when it comes to subject lines, it's obviously, you shouldn't optimize the campaign just for the open rate, because it's kind of vanity metric. If a lot of people open the email but nobody converts, it's still shit. So what you need to do is to like make people open the email and then still convert them. And there are many ways to do this to create very like good open rates, such as, for example, using person name and the company name in the subject line, just like this. So don't think about your email campaign as like a newsletter campaign. So like, how do you approach sales at blah blah blah? No, make the title as clickable as possible, but then provide right content, and people will convert really well. So you want to send an email that everyone will open. So like, for example, around a year ago, the best performing title was just like quick question. But now everybody is using it, so it's kind of like awkward. All right, the next thing is also like the length of an email. So you should really try to keep the email as short as possible, because as you can see, the sweet spot is something around like 200 words. I copied the same things twice. Okay. So I have two more, but I would have to check what they were. Can you show me my presentation? Okay, but I can send you the presentation after the talk, and you will see like it's pretty easy to figure out like what those graphs are. So yeah, that's basically it. So thank you very much. If you have any questions about like how to make this process effective, I'm here.
Questions about email campaigns? Do we have any coming from the audience, or you just want to talk? Ah, there you go, one.
Do you do everything in Streak, or do you use other tools to automate your campaigns?
So like we use our tool, as we automated everything in one place, so you can generate a list of people and then send your emails automatically from our platform. But we started from using Streak.
Any more questions? Oh, all right.
So one of the things that works really well is if you also have an outbound call indicated, right? Do you guys also support something like that? Do you have some kind of facility built into Growbots for that?
So with calls, it always depends. So like we are not fans of calls at Growbots because you cannot automate it. You still have to have a person who is sitting there and calling all of those people. And when you look at the performance, what we figured out is that one person can basically do like 60-something calls a day, and it's really hard to get more than like one person interested in learning more per day, which means you have to have one person spending the whole month on calling people, and you'll generate around 20 demos. If you automate cold mailing, with every like 1,000 emails you are sending, you are generating like 50 emails. So if only your target group is wide enough, it's a much quicker way of generating results rather than calling. So.
Okay. In your opinion, what is the minimal price of a product to make the outbound sales working?
Yeah, so Aaron Ross, who wrote the best book about cold mailing, claims that it's at least like $15,000 a year, but there was no automation to the process, so everything was manual, and he was hiring people in San Francisco, which means like you spend shit ton of money on employees who are running the process, and with tools that allow you to automate the process, you can go way lower. So like a few $1,000s is definitely enough.
Hi, Craig. So in your example, the way you're doing it yourself, you approach us in this way too, and it worked. So compliments for that. Is there? There's only a human factor at the demo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and that's typically it.
Yes.
Okay. And then the guy or girl who is doing all the cadences,
Mm-hmm.
is that somebody really from sales, or is that a smart growth hacker just thinking about?
Yeah,
how
so
to
we have a dedicated team that is like running campaigns for all of the account executives. And we don't, so like our process is a bit different than usual. So usually you have SDRs, so sales development reps, who are doing the prospecting and outreach. And they also call people, or they do also like a qualification call before they hand over the lead to the account executive. But we mostly target US-based customers. Our SDRs are based in Poland. So it's kind of hard to call people if you are a different time zone and you cannot speak English. And I'm not talking about not being able to speak English, but you know, people in the US expect you to be a native speaker if you talk to them. So for this reason, we focused on mailing, and then we also don't do those qualification calls because we believe that, you know, with outbound, as I've mentioned, you need to show the opportunity. So you need to put the best people you have on this first call. And you know, salespeople are much better than SDRs on like selling. So this is why we don't do those qualification calls, and still we are qualifying around like 70% of opportunities as sales qualified opportunities. So the loss is not that huge.
All right. Do we have more questions for Greg? We do have two.
So do you measure the churn back on those deals that you close based on the prospecting? So can you build intelligence into the prospecting to see what actually churns or not churns from those deals? Because at the speed you're signing up, I'm guessing you probably there might be some sort of noise in your customer base that should not have signed up.
Mm-hmm. So we try to optimize the sales process, so we definitely close the deal as fast as possible, but we start from different kind of like a proof of concept. It's kind of customized, but we give you a chance to test the tool. And then we lock customers in 12-month contracts. So there is this like a testing period, and then we have customers who are like almost never churning because they sign 1-year contracts, they've tested the tool, they tested the process, and then they are sure that it's fitting their needs. Sure.
Hi. In one of your templates, I saw that you're using custom fields. Not in all of them, but then was one for like a custom event.
Mm-hmm.
Very personalized for the company.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something like news of the company, recent news or a blog post or whatever?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've experienced a lot with this, and we don't find it that effective, so we stopped.
Yeah, yeah, I see.
But you can do like whatever you can put there, like a news, something cool that you've wrote about the blog, on the blog. Especially, for example, you can identify that the person you are contacting wrote the blog post, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we see good results of when adding custom fields there, but it takes much time to collect the data.
Yeah, like
so I was wondering if there's an automated way to. Not really.
Not really. We've tested a lot of sources for this like automatic personalization, and most of those are like not really like business related things. So it's like you can even write like, hey, I saw your daughter's picture on Twitter, but it's kind of creepy. so yes, you should stick to business. And
All right, one more question for Marcin.
So maybe expanding on that question, you said it's a numbers game, okay? So turning that around, it's also a data game. So how much data do you think you have to gather for one contact? So like at least you have to have a name and an email address. But have you already found from your work that there is a definitive sort of number of data points that you need to have a better conversion or a chance to close the customer?
So I think that like the minimum is to have like a name, company name, email address, and this like thing in common that you can like refer to in the beginning of the message.
And then it doesn't sort of make sense to go deeper than that, because the sort of uptake in terms of...
It also depends, because, you know, like when you have a very limited amount of potential customers, like for example, I don't know, you only focus on Fortune 500 companies, then you know, you really should do whatever you can to make those people like interested and excited. So you should use other channels, you should call them, you can really personalize the names. But if your target group is like a few thousands of people, it usually doesn't make that much sense.
Final question about the data. So there are about 400 million companies registered worldwide, right? So I think it's going to take a set amount of time to get all that data. Once someone has it, okay, then you only have to worry about the new companies being formed. So that's probably like a couple of million per year. So do you think that's the end goal, to have the data of every single company and every single person employed at that company?
We want to achieve that, but it's not that easy.
Okay, thanks.
I have one last question. In one of your examples, you said about using a breakup email, and usually what you do is you do a follow-on campaigns on someone to increase the open rate and then the whole conversion. If you're doing the breakup email, which usually is the last email, do you do the follow-ons, or like what's the follow-up?
Yeah, we do the follow-ups.
Right. What would be the example? What you're going to use in the follow-up?
Just like follow-up should be as easy as possible. So it's just like, hey, I want to remind you about the message, this kind of stuff. So we've tested a lot of campaigns where we try to kind of divide the value proposition into the first message and then the follow-ups. And what we discovered that like simplicity is the best. So it's just about like making the person open the email again. And what we also discovered is that you know, your chance of like getting a reply if somebody didn't open the first email is almost none. So in these cases, you should basically send a new campaign straight away, because this person will not open the email anyways.
All right. Thank you very much. On that, we'll conclude the first presentation.
Thanks a lot.